Hello there, my darlings, and welcome. Today we're going to continue the discussion we were having just a little bit from yesterday. And I mean just a little bit. We talked about the ME, how important it is for a medical examiner to be in a case when we have a body, and right now we don't know where Nancy is. If you haven't seen that one, I will link it up here and maybe even link it at the end of this video so you can see. I'm going to be putting the FBI missing persons flyer on this video. Yesterday I have some questions, and I know that you do too. And today we're going to clear that up because I want you to see how the mind of the investigators are working through this and why certain things are happening. Now, if you look on your screen, and I've got it right here in front of me, I want you to really pay attention to this January 31st date of 2026 for missing Nancy Guthrie. And then down here, there is January 31st of 2026. I'm going to put that on the screen now so you can see it, but it's under the details, and I'm going to skip a lot of the details because we know them. But I want to get to this part, and it is said, I got to put it under the light. It is said, Nancy Guthrie, last seen at her residence in the Catalina Foothills neighborhood of Tucson, Arizona, on the evening of January 31st, 2026. So my darlings, this is confusing, and it's extremely confusing because this poster or this flyer is based on when she was last seen, not when she was reported missing. Many times they'll do that, and you'll see when they don't have a body, they'll do that more often than not. When they do have a body, then, of course, if they have a body, nobody's going to be missing, right? But they do other types of date marking on these flyers that can be extremely confusing. We don't have Nancy yet. That's why it is there. But it's confusing, and that's why I ask these questions. But it's not your fault, and it's not mine. This is what's made it confusing. And this is why many things are happening the way they are. Because first of all, we don't have Nancy, we don't have an ME, we don't have a culprit, we don't have a perpetrator, we just don't have anything. So what are we left with? Well, first of all, my darlings, today is day 45 of Nancy Guthrie missing. Guthrie's missing, that's right. All right, here we go. Now, many people have asked me, Zelda, why are you writing in pencil versus pen? Well, it's a little easier for people to see. I don't like to write in Sharpie or anything else because it bleeds through paper. And I've even tried the ones that don't bleed, and they bleed. But I use this pencil because, you know what? I have to recognize when things become a little shady. And in this particular situation, I believe that. So let's now, January 31st of 2026 is when she went missing. That is a Saturday night. Supposedly, allegedly, and I say that because sometimes I even wonder, did she even make it over to Annie and Tommaso? I had to say that correctly. Annie and Tommaso's house. And I only would question that even more so if the Uber driver didn't confirm that she dropped Nancy off. Yes, they have heard from the Uber driver, and evidently Nancy has always requested a female driver. So, and that's Shaggy. Let me see what he's up to. It's like little kids, right? The house is quiet until you get on the phone or till you get on the video, and wow. All right, here we are. So this is when she was last seen. She actually was reported missing February 1st of 2026, which was a Sunday. Now there's another element in here that I just can't, maybe I don't know. Maybe I have to just realize that I know enough to know that I don't know enough. But if they're talking about the last scene, now that's when we can factor in the son-in-law, and that is Tommaso. He was the one, supposedly, allegedly, that last saw her. Now, I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I just want to put this timeline together because it is so confusing. Why is it so confusing? Because this person, that's right, from Pima County Sheriff, made an announcement that his deputies went there Saturday night. That would have been January 31st. She wasn't missing yet. Supposedly, allegedly, she was over at Annie and Tommaso's. According to this flyer, the last person that saw her was the son-in-law. Technically, they're not going to put a perp on the flyer. They should, because it helps to negate the confusion. Because it was supposedly someone from Nancy's church said, oh, she didn't show up, whether remotely or not. They called the family. The family went over there. But there's another question that I have. And, you know, I keep coming back to it. It's the Adult Protection Services. And they have on their site January 31st. Well, why in the heck were they there January 31st? Who called them? And I heard somebody they said, oh, it was just a neighbor. Oh, it was just this. Oh, bull. Who called them and why? Because we all know Adult Protective Services, if they go out to see someone, they're going to be looking around. So if they went out there and it said, at one point it said 5, and then they changed it on the site to 6, and then they changed it to 7, were they just showing up several times to see if she was there? And of course they put one of their calling cards in the doorway. Now, why? Because if you're in a stressful situation, I mean, even when things are great, I sure as heck don't open the door every day to see if somebody's put a card in there. And if you do, and if it says Adult Protective Services and somebody else is in there with you, does that potentially cause that person harm? Yes, it does, potentially. But that wasn't the case. So there's just something odd about this. Why was this? And it wasn't that, oh, well, we're just making our rounds. Was it a neighbor? I heard at one point that it was a neighbor that called and said that they hadn't seen Nancy in a long time. But if an Uber driver picked her up, then that's not the case either. So why is this here? That's my question of the century. Now, here's the other question of this century, and that is, and this is just personal for me, we have the son-in-law, but then we have the daughter. Why didn't she go with? What was there? And now we understand why Ashley Banfield's source supposedly told her that this guy was the one that was really being looked after, if you know what I mean. Of course, because he was the last one to see her, other than the perp. Or perps, which I feel is correct. So there's some definite mystery here going on, and I also want to let you know, many of the people, many of the media and YouTubers have now left. And, you know, can you blame them? 45 days in the field. Yes, they can probably do much better at home. Yes, they're still taking phone calls. Yes, but God bless them out there in the desert heat, putting up with weather, putting up with neighbors, putting up with all these things, and yet there Annie's house sits. And there's some things going on around that house, perhaps unexplainable, but I'm just going to say this, my darlings. That house holds the key to many things. Maybe the FBI has it. Because this Pima County sheriff, oh, brother, this guy stinks, right? But this guy right here, he's the most confusing of them all. Do you ever feel like, do you ever know when did you ever try when you know, I don't know, years ago, but have you know someone, have you tried to learn a manual transmission on a car, and it's like, let the clutch out, oh, bring it back, let the clutch out, and it's like the stop start and you're just jerking all around? Well, that's how I feel. Has the sheriff just manually jerked us around? Absolutely, yes, I do. Yes, that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. There's something off. Now, do I believe that he has formally been involved? No, I don't. I just feel that he is who he is. Based on things that I've read before, based on facts that I've seen before, he's been a showboater, in my opinion, this whole bloody time. And it's all about him. And he's going to patsy finger around Savannah and all of them, Mark Kelly and all of them, because, oh, he just wants to make a good impression that he's on this. Bull, you should have handed this over to the FBI from square one, and I know you couldn't. However, the feds had to come in and they had to take over the crime scene that you went in and pummeled, sir. And the mat stayed there. How long? How long did the mat stay there in front of the front door? Let's read some cards. Zelda gets off her pulpit. You know how that is. All right, here we are. Things are still very, very confusing. Extremely. And we have our special guest here, Moisha. And thank you once again. I just love this. Yes, I will be making that video. It is Mercury retrograde, the last few days. It is direct on the 20th. We have 3 days, and then there's a shadow period. But this period that we're going through right now is kind of like that little gut punch. It's like that, oh my heck, have I been on a hangover? I mean, my darlings, I don't drink, and I feel like I need to start. There's a lot of cards. There's a lot of cards here. And I want you to know that with everybody going home, the case has not gone cold, but there is going to be a time where you and I here have got to start reading on some other cases, and we're going to start doing that. We're not going to forget Nancy, but we've got to pay attention to other people, and we've got to give homage to other people that deserve it as well. So we're going to start looking into that as well. We're not going to I'm still going to put Nancy here, but we're going to move on a little bit because that's just the way it is. We have to. I've got all the cards out here of my friends. We're going to put 2 of the big boy out. I call it this is the old boy. Now, funny enough, and here we are, this energy here, putting this to the side. And we're going to be reading these pretty much all together. Kipper is next. Easy does it. When we're dealing with a delicate case like this, easy does it, my darlings. Easy does it with the shuffling. Because what you don't want, and this is just me and my opinion, I love everyone else. This works for me, and that's what I'm saying. What I don't want is to just be going crazy. See, I just hit the camera. My apologies. Just going crazy haphazard. Because for me, that scatters the energy. I want the energy to remain here. Remain here. Now, we're reading energy. We're not asking some satanic something or other to come in here. I want you to know that. I just have to say that. I don't believe other people do either, but I'm just saying it's energy you read. Honey, it's a matter of physics. That's what this is. This is physics. Oh. And we line them up like this, and I'll tell you for a reason. And I always leave the cartomancy to the last, because that tells me the most of details. We've got some indicators here, my darlings. We saw this gal yesterday. This card. Interestingly enough, come here, my darling Moisha. Interestingly enough, we have this staff of Hermes, the caduceus. That is the medical symbol that we use here in the U.S. It may be used other places, but that's telling me that there's got to be some healing. There's got to be some negotiation. What healing and what? Well, healing in this investigation. I don't know if any of you are aware, but it's been a few days ago now that this sheriff has come out and said they don't have the funds. They don't have the funds to continue with this manhunt. Well, Sheriff, I got news for you, pal. You've had a lot of volunteers that have come out there that you wanted to keep them at bay by not giving them permits. Why? Many other missing persons cases, oh my goodness, the sheriff's departments, police department, troopers, FBI, they encourage the public to be involved to a certain degree and to help look for missing people of all ages. They just give you a little debriefing and they say, okay, if you find something, don't disturb it, back up, don't touch, don't even breathe on it, give us a call. So, do you see how this sheriff, in my opinion, Nancy is at risk. And he doesn't want anybody else to search for her. Daggone it. If that were my mother, my crack would be right there in Pima County telling him, look, pal, you need to take me to the pokey because I'm going to look for my mother. Regardless if you feel I need my permit, is that is my mom. Period. Right? Right? I know many of you agree. This gal here, we've seen her before. She wears the robe of the high priestess. Interestingly enough, this robe of the high priestess means that this character is bringing something to the table. Now, this is a water element. It's a water sign, the cups are, and all water come from the robe of the high priestess. Now, they both have little wreaths on their head, and they're victory wreaths. They're laurel. Now, this whole thing here is a tradition, but it is also saying that there's some things that haven't been divulged yet. There's some things that have not come out yet, and we need to stay steady and diligent and watchful. All of you are. He is wearing the outfit of the Fool card. Now, nobody's the Fool. Well, maybe somebody in Pima County. Anyway, nobody's the Fool here. But the reason he does that is because he comes from a card that says, look, we have to start over. We have to wipe the slate clean. We have to rise from the ashes in Phoenix. That is what the Fool card is. And there's a phoenix in the Fool card on the little bag. It's an image of that. What about Phoenix? Well, the FBI now, their field office is in Phoenix. No coincidence. This right here is all about strength and coming divinely over a particular situation. See, they look like they're in the desert. There's a house there. Many people say this card, oh, it's a reconciliation. You're getting back together. Well, maybe. But you see, yeah, you can see these cards are older, but you see, he's reaching out to her. And I'm going to say metaphorically, this is basically, I'm reaching out because we need another go. We need a fresh start. We need to put it together. We need to combine resources. And then we have this, which is a fire element, a lot of growth, but a lot of creativity. And look, this guy's coming in, he's got this, da-da-da-da looking, right? And you see these guys are looking at this one. Walk softly and carry a bigger stick, I say. They are all, I am so sorry, I keep bumping the camera. I know, I am sorry. These guys are having it out, but they want to form their boundaries. They've been too creative to a certain degree, to the point where now they're just arguing among themselves. Is that what's happening? Are we having that with some type of law enforcement? I tell you, I believe the deputies, and they're doing the best job that they can. You're only as good as your leadership. It goes for anything and everything. Before we start on there, forgive me, let's go to this very energetic knight. But you know what? He's facing away. He's facing away. If he was facing toward, I would say, you know what? There's more energy coming toward this investigation. But this is indicative. And look at the pyramids in the back. Desert. What he's saying is, he's got a lot of energy, but they're kind of sort of moving on. Now, are they moving on? Is the case going cold? I don't think so, but I think it's getting a little chilly because they have other things going on now, including a missing major general, which no, we're not going to get involved in that one. That one is a little on the tricky side. Occupation. 3 and 4 is 7. This occupation is all about, it's leaning toward the law enforcement. It's leaning toward all of that. And the fact that they have been toiling and laboring to the point where, yeah, it is a thankless position. They're doing what they can, and this is the deputies. I'm going to say even the FBI. But I do believe they have other leads. Why? Because we have an official person here, which is a number 4. 2 plus 2 is 4. That official person is a foundation. He's building a foundation. He's building what he needs to perhaps reinvent this case. Maybe not reinvent this, but give it another surge. Or are they trying to reinvent the wheel? I think with the current leadership that they are. Let's continue, my darlings. Let's continue. Now here we are again, coming back. It seems like we make a lot of momentum in this case. Don't you feel that? You get close to the home stretch and then it just kind of filters out again. I'm going to tell you, I believe that there may be a lot of clue associated with a church or that remote church. There's something there. Don't know what that is, but there's something there. And could have been somebody from there called APS. This is a message card. You know, the messages have gone cold from TMZ, from everyone about these, oh, I'm going to say ransom notes, or I know where this woman is and everything. I'm going to tell you this. I do not believe that they are paying attention to this because there was a hint that, well, be ready to go international. They were hinting that it's in Mexico. I believe that that whole trajectory just kind of went out the window a few days ago, maybe even a few weeks ago. And that whole idea just went cold. Somebody thought they sort of kind of saw Nancy at the border. Well, I've got to tell you this. If you look at a group of women, let's just say a group of women that are around her age group. Now's not the time I would be going to Mexico. But a lot of people, a lot of women will go to Mexico. At some point, a lot of women are going to favor each other because they have the same hairstyle, the same build, the same, that sort of thing. I think the FBI just said, we don't care. We don't care. That's not going to happen. We don't care. So I believe that is gone, done. Now, this moon card, interesting, because it was a full moon that night. And that lit up everything. And that's when we saw that person come around the corner from the side of the garage and up to the front. And that was all from the light of the moon that we were able to track when that happened. We did all that. You remember that. And this is a card of making decisions. But you know what else this is a card of? It's a card of that secrets will be exposed. This card, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. That's Nancy's heart. The 9 of Diamonds is a joyful card, but it is also communication. It's an air element that's communication, but it's feeling joy to a certain extent. And that's what Nancy was, hopefully, January 31st before she went home. And then I feel, in my opinion, this happened. Why? Because there's a broken heart here. And this person we talked about yesterday. Now, technically, this is and can be about love, but it's a relationship love, and it doesn't fit here. So when it doesn't fit, we have to turn to the cartomancy, and then we have to turn to the images. And if you can see this image right there, that's pretty brokenhearted, if you ask me. Do I feel that Nancy is here? No, unfortunately, I don't. And I feel that this investigation has shifted to another, it's just shifted to another realm. It's just shifted. We are going to be hearing some messages, but I think something a little bit more concrete. Instead of, this once a week, well, we have more images. Oh, there was a neighbor that saw this. Oh, this happened. Now I think there's something a little bit more going to be coming out. And I believe it's going to be before the weekend. Be watchmen, my darlings. Be watchmen. Let's get a couple of cards from here. Let me move this. See a lot of threes here. And look, another 9, and that is a confirmation of this 9 right here on this heart card. But you see we have the 6, 7, and there's an element missing. And when that happens, we have to think about what that is, and that is a fulfillment. But it also can be a card of even perhaps suspicion because of messaging. This card right here, come on, Moisha, jump in there. This card right here is all about letters, all about examinations, being examined. Who's been examined here? And then we have this card. This is all about success and determination and pushing until you get that success. And now we have this 9. We have the 9 here and we have the 9 here. And this is all about making progress. Making progress at work, making progress. And I do believe that in this particular situation, there has been progress. I believe that. And now, but over here we have interference. You see this interference card, this 3 of spades, it's not a good card at all. Someone has interfered with the family dynamic with Nancy. Let's take everybody out of the equation just for a moment, and I want to stop and think about this one thing. Why January 31st and February 1st? Why couldn't have someone come in and done it before? Why couldn't have someone done it? And this is what makes me believe that theory, that it is because of Savannah. And I'll put that video to the end of this so you can get caught up. She didn't do anything on purpose. She didn't set out to hurt anyone, but it was because of an interview. And how do you hurt someone so much? Well, that was the night she was getting ready to go to the Olympics. So let's hurt her career, let's hurt her family life, let's hurt everything else. Let's just throw it off. That is the supreme punishment. And if you don't think that happens, that has happened since the beginning of time, my darlings. It certainly has. Interestingly enough, we have a card here that is all about education. And now, isn't this funny? We have it right beside this card that is all about exams. Examining. Has somebody taken a polygraph? Yes. Are polygraph tests thought to be useful? Maybe to a certain point, but a lot of time, many times, they're not admissible in a court. But it gives you an idea of how someone is acting. Evidently, everyone passed a polygraph. Does that matter? I don't know, in some regard. But this is also a change in a situation. It's not only an education card, but it's a change, and an abrupt change. And what causes that abrupt change? Well, we have these several cards here, and especially this interference card. See, tell the story. Tell the story. My darlings, that's all I have for you today. We're going to stay at it, don't you worry. And you stay tuned, because Moisha is getting ready to make a his little debut, and we're going to talk about what he does. Thanks so much for being here, my darlings. Bye for now.